When you become involved in a relationship, everything comes to surface, good, bad, and in between. You can't hide from it. It's going to be there. And it's only a matter of time before that stuff comes out in the open. And that's when you form this connection and this emotional bond with someone. That's when this defects come to surface. Like I could go out there and I'm not saying I was some desperate weirdo. I was married for almost 20 years. Like I could be semi-functional relationship, but she had equal amount of issues as well because
Mhm.
we kind of fed off each other like that. But I could go function if it was surface and we didn't have to get too deep. I think it was great. I could manage it every other way. But yeah, I mean, I could function in other areas of life. It's when you have to really put everything out there and expose everything and bring every part of yourself out. And that includes the parts that you have this, that you carry this toxic shame with you from unresolved trauma and issues. That comes out too. And that's the unattractive stuff. That's the stuff that comes out as unattractive. And it leads to the way you show up in a relationship. It brings out all your best character attributes and your insecurities and your
Yes.
flaws and your defects. So everything comes to surface at some point. And I don't discourage pickup and all that, but I don't know if you watched much of last week's video, but that was about that. That has a place in the dating world. That definitely has a place for socially adapting to being able to adapt socially and not be awkward and afraid to go approach and go talk and meet people, chicks and
Hmm.
dudes, because
Yep.
all relationships require that presence and that ability to have some kind of functionality in it.
Hmm.
And the pickup's fine, but you can only hide that slick guy shit for a little while. And women have insane intuition and radars. They start sensing that shit like this guy ain't this. This ain't what he's about. He ain't this.
Hmm.
And it starts to come to surface. And what usually
Yeah.
happens is they begin to pull back a little bit subconsciously to test to see, is this guy really who he says he is? Is he really made like this? Or is he putting his best costume on to woo me and show me?
Yeah.
And the time reveals all, because you can only hide that for a little while. And it's good. Look, I think it's an absolute plus to be adapt enough to go meet chicks out of thin air. That's not easy. But once you learn to do it, it's a system and you become comfortable with it, just like anything else. It's a skill.
Yeah.
It's can you maintain that same masculine frame and keep that attraction up and do all these things that you're portraying for a long time in a relationship. And if you have some unresolved shit, you're not going to be able to sustain. It's going to come to surface. And it's usually when the relationship is challenged, i.e., pulling away, is when that stuff really comes flaring up. Like
Yeah.
you aggressively go after her and it comes across and it is very needy and clingy. And there's one thing women don't like is clingy. Like when men either. I don't like somebody who's clingy and insufferably insecure. Everybody has insecurities. You're never going to be able to get rid of that. What happens is you start working on yourself, you address these things, you identify insecurities and realize it's probably not that bad. I'm not going to make a big deal of this, but there's some things I can do to work on my insecurities. If you're insecure about the way your body looks, you go to the gym. If you're insecure about a limited vocabulary, you learn how to speak. Like there's things, but deep-seated insecurities like I don't deserve to be loved. I'm going to be abandoned by this person. That's not a easy fix. That's something deep down, that's rooted deep down in your subconscious that needs to be looked at, erased, and replaced, which you don't erase trauma. Trauma never goes away. And I'm going to tell you, it gets, like you've been through it, it gets a little darker before it gets light. Because not only do you have
Oh,
to
yes, it is.
you got to come to the realization that I'm a little up. And I hate
Mm.
even saying it like that because you're not up. But that's the perception. That's how I thought. Let me just say that. That was my interpretation is, I'm up. Now, so you're aware of that. Then you got to go backtrack and figure out why. Then you start seeing, holy shit, there's a lot of dysfunction here. And it gets a little daunting and depressing. It
Yes, it
takes a
does.
certain to go in and do that hard work, that dark work.
That
But
shadow work. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Shadow work.
But the end result, the reward is, I can't put into words the reward of mining that trauma, like you mine for gold and copper, digging down and chipping away all the way down to the core where it is, pulling it up and making friends with it and coming to the realization that, wait a minute, this did happen, but I am deserving of love. If this person does leave, yeah, it's going to suck, but I'll be okay. It's going to be fine. I'm going to be fine no matter what.
Mhm.
And through that slow process of doing the work that so many people are not willing to do is where you get that quality self-esteem, real confidence, real self-assuredness. All these authentic, genuine, like that guy you would portray on a Saturday night, walking in all fresh after going over your routine of what you're going to say and how you're going to pick up. You're that guy 24/7 now.
Amen, brother. Amen. Don't got to
And
front.
no,
Become that. That's exactly what happened, man. What all that you were talking about.
mm,
All those insecurities came up. That abandonment wound, the being like, if she leaves me, I'm done. Like that started to surface. And it
no,
surfaced in very minor ways, just like behavior tweaks or the way I would look at her a certain way, a little too long, maybe take a little too, I would text her back too quick, that
right,
kind of thing. And it was like, it was just a slow death. And like you said, as soon as it happened, I instantly went inward. Like I started talking to you about it, I think day one. And I'm just like, what do I do to heal this?
I
And
remember.
it was very painful too. Like you said, it was, I knew it was going to be a tough few months. I didn't know how long it would be. It really took about, I would say 3 months, 3 months until I started feeling happiness again. And it was scary because I'm like, fudge, dude, like, is this it? Like, I'm just never going to be happy again. Why that is because of the oxytocin development that happens around that person. All those
Mhm.
chemicals started going. So I was really going through, and you, as if anyone's watching who's going through breakup, you go through a withdrawal, like very similar to like cocaine and heroin, getting off that.
Joel, it is an exact same chemical model. The drug is the chick. The drug is the drug you're seeking is validation, acceptance, love, care,
Mm, yeah,
and the source is she. And once you start hitting on it, and then you get all these bonding hormones, the oxytocin, and all these endorphin dumps you get by bonding over time, and you
yeah,
develop this habit and this ritual of seeing her, and everything's associated with this feels good, this feels good, this feels good. You start to get attached. You get the
attachment.
vasopressin. That's the source of it. And when that source is taken, that is a withdrawal. Your body's not making it anymore. You've already imprinted on yourself subconsciously that she's the drug, that's my hit.
Mm,
And when it's taken away, it goes, not only does it go, it crashes away. It stops
yeah,
immediately. Just like when you're withdrawing from opioids or alcohol.
mm, yeah,
It's the same
yes.
exact chemical model.